Well, here we go. Welcome to the Profit Tool Belt podcast. It's just for construction and contracting and business owners who are curious about finding ways to work smarter, not just harder. If that's you, I think you're going to love today because the wacky title that we came up with for today is Construction Business Growth Plan and Problem Solver Edition. My name's Dominic Rubino, and I'll be your host. Today, I'm going to tell you the story about Mr. Green. We're going to go with the name Mr. Green. Now, he is a home remodeler who also does his own cabinets and installation of those cabinets. So he kind of does the whole package. And he's been in business for 9 years. Revenues are $6 million. He has about 30 employees. That includes himself. His wife is a CPA, so he's got that bolted down, which is very nice. Now, many of you aren't in a situation like that, but I want you to hear the story as I'm going to lay it out with confidentiality, top of mind, of course. But I want you to learn how different he is from you and understand that he's not that different than you. He just happens to be 30 employees. He happens to be at $6 million and he is still forward facing. He's still thinking about how he can work smarter, not just harder. So he's a private one-on-one coaching client with me. And what I'm going to take you through is an interesting overview of the goals that he laid out in our very first strategic planning meeting. And I thought you would like to hear those, to hear what he's working on. And then I thought you'd also like to hear the plan, the simple systems. What does a business coach do in the background? How does Dominic help strategize with a business owner once we've laid out all of the goals, gotten as good an overview of the challenges or bottlenecks that we can? And then how do we take that step forward? Some of you have no interest in ever working with me or anybody on my team for coaching, and that's fine, but you do have an interest in finding out how to turn around your construction business, how to make your contracting company do what you want it to do, have more time, be able to go to the lake, be able to go traveling, go to Europe, or bring somebody from Europe over here to visit. I don't know what you want to do, right? Taking care of elder parents is becoming something I hear more and more about. Either yours or your spouse's parents, but you're starting to realize that of all the people in your family, you're the one everybody looks to when it comes time to, I'm just going to just say it as it is, open the checkbook. You're a business owner, so you've got unlimited time and unlimited money, right? Well, I keep hearing that from you guys on the phone calls I'm having. So that one increases. There's always the thought of, you're running this business to take care of your family, pass a legacy on, but all those things require that you keep moving forward in your company. That's what I want to show you here. What I do, for those of you who've never heard this show before or who are still getting used to this podcast and its format, is I help contractors get back in control of their construction business. And it doesn't matter if they know where to start or not. And what I do is I focus really hard on simple systems in 3 different places in your company: in the office, on the job site, or in your shop. Those are the 3 places we look at improving operations and putting simple systems in place so the owner can take a step back and really focus on growth. You see, the truth is you don't really need a lot of extra time, and you don't need a business degree to build a profitable, solid construction business. You just need those simple systems. We're going to talk about those today. And of course, you need new ideas to old problems. There's lots of hacks and tips and tricks that you will hear from me here. That's why this podcast shares expert interviews or summaries of actual conversations that I share with you here. For those of you who are in family businesses, those of you who are in partnerships, or those of you running the business on your own, welcome, because this is the show for you. If anything I've talked about today sounds even a little bit like you, then I think you're going to like this show. Make sure you hit like and subscribe and come back and check in on us a lot, because we only have the best guests, and I do pretty long, in-depth interviews. I'll admit things are pretty light, but very serious. I like to have fun. I like to smile, but the work we do, dead serious. I just think that I've been at this for a long time, and I could make it dry and boring, but that doesn't serve any purposes. I want you to come back and listen again, because when you do, you grow. I don't want this to be a dry and boring podcast. That's easy to do. What's harder is to weave in a little bit of humor, a little bit of lightness, so that we can laugh together. I'm in my podcast studio here. You might be all the way up in Alaknak, Alaska, or you could be down in Fiddlefarb, Florida. I don't know where you are. But somehow we're all going to connect through this podcast. And one little step at a time, all of the contractors listening to this show are going to move their businesses forward. That's my goal for you. Listen, in my regular life, when I'm not doing podcasts, I run a professional business coaching organization where we help business owners just like you. If you ever want to get in touch with us, please feel free to do so. We'll talk about your business and where you want to take it. Before we get to the show, I want to challenge you with an important business coaching question. Based on what you learned today, based on what you hear today, how will you find a way to put just one thing in place? That's all I need you to do. It's fine to listen. It's free. There's no charge for this, but there is a cost. And the cost is of lost opportunity. If you learn something today and you put that thing in place today, and let's say that it saves you 10 minutes today, well, that's going to save you 10 minutes a day for 365 days. Let's do the math on that. It's going to save you a couple hours, if not days, a year. But if you don't put it in place, you're wasting that time. You're burning that. The same goes for money. And so the challenge is feel free to listen. There's no cost to listen, but there's a cost, a direct cost to you, your family, and your legacy if you don't do anything from what you hear today. So there is a serious challenge on you, just as there's a serious challenge on me to deliver value. I want you to take one step back for a moment and think about your role in your family. Think about your last name. Let's just use the name Mr. Green as an example, because that's going to be our guest name. The things that Mr. Green is doing in his family might be the first time that's been done in generations. Building a business from scratch, employing 30 people, getting it to $6 million. His kids now see that that's possible. What path will his kids take? Mr. Green didn't come from a family where everybody around him was building $6 million, 30 employee renovations and remodeling businesses who had their own cabinet shop and their own crew of installers. But he showed them it's possible. And once your family sees it's possible, just like Mr. Green, I wonder where his family will go in the future, because they're going to demand more out of themselves and understand they can ask more of the world. That's what you are doing, my friend. You're showing the people around you, whether you know it or not, you're showing them how to get it done. So thank you for listening to the show. I appreciate that. But the challenge is also on you to get out there and do something with what you learned today from Mr. Green's story. Let's get to the show. All right, let's get into this Mr. Green story. I've already given you a little bit of a summary, but let's restate the title so that we focus ourselves. Construction Business Growth Plan and Problem Solving Edition. There we go. We're going to talk about Mr. Green. That is not his name. Mr. Green is in North Carolina. Does that help you? Does that make the story any more relevant? No, but I thought I'd give you a little bit of context. Mr. Green has 30 employees. He has revenues of $6 million. Let me do some quick math here. There's something I like to calculate, which is revenue per full-time employee. So we've got 6 million. I'm doing this on a calculator, not because I can't do the math in my head, but I want you to understand I'm not taking anything lightly. So his revenue per full-time employee is $200,000. So that's a question that I want you to take away from this. Think about your top line revenue, which is your sales figure for all of last year or any period. You know, if today is June, then June to June. What was your total sales June to June for last year? And then divide it by your number of employees. That's going to give you a real thumbnail view of the operational health of your business. If you have questions about that, get in touch with me. You guys already know you can text me anytime. My cell is 315-903-7853. Just grab your phone and send me a text. But that should be the first takeaway you have today is ask yourself, are you on or off that number? Now, if you are on that number, if your number is between 150,000 to 200,000 per full-time employee, but you're still not profitable, then we have some serious challenges to dig into because you're doing good in some places, but you're lacking in some others. And if you've ever heard me on this show talking about how to find and fix your 8 profit leaks, that's where I would take you in the conversation because you have some profit leaks. So if you're already doing between 150 to 200,000 per full-time employee, but you're not taking home what you need, then we have some profit leaks and those are all solvable. As a matter of fact, if you ever want the document on profit leaks, just send me the keyword profit leaks and then I'll send you the free download so you can, print it off, go to a coffee shop, work through it on your own, grab it, print 2 copies, give one to your partner and just start the conversation. In the company. If your spouse is the bookkeeper and you guys are looking at the numbers together, and as you know, numbers are cold, right? Numbers don't care. But it's funny that talking about numbers gets hot. Why is that? Right. Anyways, if you guys want, just send me the the keyword profit leaks. Let me just write this down so I remember. If you send me the keyword profit leaks, then I'll send you the document. You just text it to me. 315-903-7853. Anyways, let's get back to the topic at hand here. So 30 employees, revenue 6 million, home remodeling, plus he builds cabinets, plus he does installation. In business, 9 years. Okay, he started from scratch. From scratch, he's at $6 million in 9 years. So by all accounts, looking at it from the outside, he's a banker's dream. He's already gotten to 9 years, right? As Jim Gaffigan said, when he goes to the gym and he sees somebody who's fit and healthy, he's like, what are you doing here? You're done, right? Mr. Green from the outside seems like he's got it all under control, and he actually does, but he wants more. He's demanding more out of life, and he actually feels stuck. Now, isn't that interesting? Look at yourself and whatever revenue level you're at, whatever employee level you're at. Do you feel stuck? And do you think, hey, nobody's ever been in this situation like me? Well, here we've got Mr. Green that's doing pretty well, but he understands that he could be doing better. And so he engaged with me to do private one-on-one coaching because this is his next level. He feels stuck at 6 million. So I'm just going to jump to the midpoint of today. I'm going to jump to the midpoint and get you started on understanding what some of the takeaways are going to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 things. If you do have a pen and paper, I want you to write these down. These are themes that are going to come up. There's 7 items that I want you to write down. Some of them are going to surprise you, and some of them you're going to recognize on your own as we're walking through the overview of his goal setting exercise, which is what we're reading today. So here's the 7 items that Mr. Green and I will be working on in his coaching. Number 1, values. His values. Number 2, his vision. So what he wants for the future. Number 3, the 3 I's. Number 4, culture or victor victim. And by the way, if you ever want information on the 3 I's, which is a visual, you have to see it to understand it, and victor victim, which is about culture building, you should get on the wait list for the training because we cover those in that free training. And then he's got the items, and I lump these all together, the items of time, team, and money. So that's another takeaway. Then dashboard. So how does he track his numbers? Now, what's interesting to me is he's already really good at tracking things, like exceptional. However, he's realized there's some gaps, and I'll get to those gaps later. I think you might be surprised at my observations. And then the item number 7 is simple systems. So one of the hardest jobs that myself or any of the coaches on my team have is really reducing things to its simplest denomination, really keeping it dead simple. And the reason that we do that, the reason we work so hard at doing that is so that it's much easier for us to grasp and go attack. And you probably do the same thing when you look at a set of plans and somebody says, well, I don't think anybody's ever built anything like this before, or there's never been an application for that product like this. And then you look at it, and with all your years of experience, you say, actually, we can do that. Because you already know in your mind the systems you're going to use, the leverage you're going to use, the tools you're going to use, which people you're going to use, right? It's the same for us. We've just been coaching for a very, very long time. And I can't say we've seen every single situation, but we've seen enough situations to understand how to combine the business growth tools in a way that makes sense to the owner so they can put it in place in their business. That's part of how we do our job. Anyways, here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to read to you. This is all in confidence, right? You don't know who Mr. Green is, other than he's in North Carolina. Or is he? And is his name really Mr. Green? Well, no, it's not. But I can tell you for sure that he's a remodeler who also does cabinets and cabinet installations. So he kind of takes care of soup to nuts for a homeowner. I asked him 3 questions when we did our strategic planning meeting, and this is the warm-up. Any of you who've worked with me already are going to recognize these questions. It's from the very first coaching meeting. It's that big, long, intense. It's kind of hard to get through the meeting. I'll be honest. It's 4 hours on a Zoom call with me or one of the coaches, and we're really picking the business apart piece by piece because we want to download everything from your brain onto paper, electronic paper, so that we can start to understand it. So it's actually quite a difficult exercise, but what you get from it is angels singing from the heavens clarity, and everything just becomes brighter. And suddenly the path forward just really obvious. It just lays itself out, right? So it's difficult, but the benefit is there. That's why we do the exercise. So there's going to be 3 questions I ask, and these are the 3 questions I asked Mr. Green. What are your goals for today? So what do you want to get out of this strategic planning meeting for today? By the way, we follow the EOS traction system, which is a strategic planning system that works perfectly for construction and contracting trades. Perfect. It is lined up exactly as it's supposed to be. Some of you already know the system. You're using the L10s, you're using the huddle, all those tools. So you're going to understand. So first I ask him what his goals are for today. And then we do this funny little switch on the question. What would the goals be for this meeting if 2 of your customers met at a coffee shop? They had time, so they sat down. And through conversation, they realized they're both Mr. Green's customers. And while they're talking, they started talking about Mr. Green's business. And so the question here is, if your customers knew we were having this meeting, what would they wish you were doing more, better, or different? Think about that perspective. Think about your business from the customer's eyes. And so that little coaching challenge allows us to open our eyes to how the customer sees us, because our business is here to serve the customer, right? We solve problems for other people. We get paid to solve those problems, right? Now, the third question, we pull a little fast one again. We change the question. And the question is this: imagine 2 of your employees are having coffee and they get to talking about Mr. Green's business. And so the question I put to Mr. Green is this: if your employees knew that we were having this meeting, what would they hope that you fixed or got past or removed as a bottleneck or brought in as an opportunity? Okay, so 3 simple questions, but those are coaching questions. These are the same kind of questions that a board of directors would ask in a large boardroom. And I know that because I've been on many, many boards, and I've sat in on these meetings as the coach and advisor to mega large construction companies and other industries as well. But the board of directors asks a very specific set of questions that are always future focused. We want to find the challenges and we want to solve those. So let me read to you what some of Mr. Green's answers were. Mr. Green in North Carolina, 30 employees, $6 million. Mr. Green, what are your goals for today? Number 1, this is the first time doing a strategic plan. I would like to formalize this. So he's never done the EOS strategic planning system, and yet he got his business to 6 million. High five to him. What are your other goals for today? I want to look out to the long term. Oh, so well said. For those of you who've heard me talk about it before, there's a concept in The E-Myth Revisited, a book by Michael Gerber. Hands up while you're driving, if it's safe. Don't do this if you're on an edge bander or if you're on a ladder. But hands up if you've read The E-Myth. All right. If you've read The E-Myth, that's fantastic. If you haven't read it in the last 6 months, go back and reread it. Now's a good time to do that. Right. If that's the one action you take away from today, that would be a powerful action. Looking out to the long term is that entrepreneur's mindset. It's that vision for the future, because the entrepreneur in me and in you only asks certain kinds of questions, right? Actually, we cover this in the free training. There's an image you got to. This is hard to explain on a podcast because you have to see the picture. But once you see the picture, you go, oh, now I get it. Because there's 3 ways of seeing the world, and that causes the tension in our brain. So if you ever want to see that picture, either do coaching with me or come to the free training, because you just take a screen capture, right? The third thing is he wants to start to use this as a formal tool. So he recognizes that he wants simple systems in the business, and he wants to put them in place. And then the fourth goal for himself today, I want enough people on staff that one man off doesn't impact my daily life. I want time freedom. I want crew flexibility. So he stuffed a lot of goals in that last one, right? So a lot of these things, we've talked about 2 things here. We've talked about the 3 I's, which is how a business owner needs to see the world from a success mindset and how to use your time effectively. And then the other thing is point number 4 is, how do I bring the right culture in place? How do I bring the right people in place so that if I ever need to take a day off to go fishing, hunting, camping, or trade show, the place keeps running the way I want it to. And that's the second thing. That's the victor-victim mindset, the winners, how we separate the winners and losers in the world. And that's another visual. That's one of the construction millionaire secrets, right? It's another way of seeing the world that's different than everybody else, because you, my friend, are different than everybody else. Business owners are not the same as employees. Nobody's better, nobody's worse. I just mean we see the world in different ways because we have different motivations. Anyways, not to hammer the point too much, but those were his goals for today. If you do want to see those tools and the stuff that I'm going to show him, we cover it in the free training. Now there's a wait list for the free training because we don't run it every day, right? But once we got enough people, then we send an email out and pick a date. If you want to be on the wait list, then shoot me a text, and then we'll get you on the wait list. And when we're ready, then we'll send you an email. All right, next portion here is we did goals for today. Then the next thing is if your customers knew we were having this meeting. So thinking about what the conversation between two customers at a coffee shop would be like. Sorry, guys, I realize I need to back up for a second. I just said get on the wait list, but I didn't tell you how to get on the wait list. So give me 1 sec. If you want to get on the wait list, if you want to see the tool for how to have that visionary mindset to pull your company to the future, and if you want to see the tool for how to build the right culture in your team so that you can step away and know that things are running the way you expect, that lines up with how you see the world, then get on the wait list for the next training. And now I'll tell you how to get on that wait list. Just shoot me a text. That's the easiest way to get in touch with me all the time. So just shoot me a text, right? How many times do I say that? But shoot me a text. It's 315-903-7853. And then just say training. You write that training. So just say training, and then you'll be on the wait list for the training. And then you can see those two images. Make sure you're in a confidential room when you're in that training, because we're talking about business owner stuff, not employee stuff. And it's confidential. This is, think of it like ad hoc business training just for business owners. So don't do this in an open room, tuck yourself in a boardroom, or if you have to, take it from your truck, but make sure people don't come up and knock on the window. Like, you need to be uninterrupted. The training is actually 3 days of training, but I tuck it down into about an hour and a half. So it's really cut down to the basic points, but we got to cover those points very quickly and efficiently. The fastest way for you to take notes is actually to take pictures of the screen, because we do it on a Zoom call. Anyways, let's get back to the point at hand. If your customers knew we were having this meeting, so I asked Mr. Green, what would your customers say if they were having a coffee and realized they were both your customer? What would they say? Now, remember, this guy does home remodeling and cabinets and installation. And here's what his answers were. And I wonder if this surprises you. How can our company shorten our lead times? The lead times are too long. And number two, I want you to keep true to who you are. Don't change what's working. Remember, this guy's been in business 9 years, and he already got it to $6 million. He's got 30 employees. So he's doing some things right. And so based on the feedback that he's had from customers in the past, those are the two things that he gave me as his business coach marching orders on, right? He's like, Dom, this is what I want to bring out more in our company. We need to shorten our lead times so we make more customers even happier. And there's some things we're doing right. Let's not change the things that are going right. Right? We don't need to change everything. We just need to tweak the little things. And that goes down to the simple systems and also keeping the big vision in mind. All right. Then there's that third question. And the third question is this. And remember, we're just in the goal setting to start off the meeting. If our employees knew we were having this meeting, Mr. Green, what would they say? Now, we don't know what they would say, but you can guess. I mean, you hear stuff when you're driving to the job site, or if you're on the tools or dropping off materials or working with your draftsman, you hear, right? You hear things. He had 4 things that he feels his team would be saying if they knew he was in a strategic planning meeting, mapping out the future of the company, mapping out the 10-year, the 3-year, the 1-year plan for this company. Here they are. Number 1, is he really listening? Does your team know you're listening? They're giving you suggestions, but are you really taking them? Doesn't mean you have to accept all their suggestions, but are you listening? Number 2, takes too long for ideas to come to fruition. So they do have great ideas, but it takes too long inside the company. Why do we have defects in drafting? You might call it engineering, you might, drawings, whatever you call it, right? For him, why do we have defects in engineering or drafting? And number 4, we need more people. So he's already got a crew of 30, but he needs more people. Why can't we find them? So does any of that sound familiar to you? Just for the sake of it, I'm going to summarize all these very quickly so that we get ourselves back to 0. Is that okay? So I'm going to summarize all 3 of those questions. I'll quickly read the heading and then I'll read the answers. Number one, Mr. Green's goals for today. This is my first strategic plan. I'd like to formalize this. Number two, look out to the long term. Number three, start to use this process as a formal tool for growth. Number four, I want enough people on staff so that one guy taking a day off doesn't impact my daily life. I need time freedom for me, and I need crew flexibility. So he had 4 goals for himself for today. Then we switched it up a little bit. If your customers knew you were having this meeting, he had 2 observations or goals. How can my company shorten lead times? The lead times are too long. And number 2, I want you to keep true to who you are. Don't change what's working. Okay. Then the third goal setting question was this: if your employees knew we were having this meeting, what would they want to put in place? He had 4 goals for that. Is he really listening? Takes too long for ideas to come to life. Why do we have defects in drafting or engineering? And we need more people. Okay. If I didn't tell you he was a $30 million business, if I didn't tell you he had revenues of $6 million, if I didn't tell you he'd been in business 9 years, does this sound like your company? It probably does. I'll bet you like 75% of those are issues that you have as well, right? So a really nice look into what would call a forward-facing business owner's view on his company. And forward-facing means, and you guys have, your nose, your toes, and your belt buckle all facing in the same direction. He's craving simplicity. He's craving simple systems. He's craving a team that works the way he wants so that it supports the business and our customers. And he's looking for, remember those 7 things I started the episode with? Here, let's outline them again. Now, he didn't say these words, but in my mind as a business coach, I know that this is the marching orders that he's given me. And these are let's say these are the flagstones on the path that I need to lay out for him. Here they are, the 7 again: his values, his vision, the reminder about the 3 I's, which is the Michael Gerber book, culture, which is the victor victim concept, right? Those are the 2 visuals we talked about. Time, team, and money, which I stack under one thing because of the way I do the coaching. Dashboard. So having reports, CEO level reports in the business, and then simple systems. Simple systems. Let me stop for a second. How does that sound so far? I go back and forth, guys. I goof around and I tell corny jokes, but at the same time, I'm dead serious about what I do. Not only that, but I'm just as blunt in my own business because I've learned not to fiddle fart around. I have fiddle farted around in the past, and it's cost me money, time, and heartache and tough conversations with my wife at the kitchen table. And I don't want that for you. So if you ever hear me being overly blunt and then making a quick joke, it's because I realize I've dropped a hammer on you. I don't want to soften the blow, right? Maybe I'm the Velvet Hammer. Maybe that's my nickname, the Velvet Hammer. But I got to give you the straight goods. Ask yourself against those 7 points, how would you score your company? Values. Are you true to your values? Is every single person in your company aligned with your values? What about vision? Have you provided a vision to your team? Now, they don't need the same kind of vision that you and I would talk about at the ownership level. They need to know where we're going and what we're doing in general, because that guides everything they do. What's that vision, right? The 3 I's is an internal software system for your head. The 3 I's is an internal software system for your head. So is the victor victim, except victor victim is an internal software system we want to install on our team's heads. And again, if you ever want to see those visuals, come to the training, get on the wait list. Join us when that happens, right? Then we've got the issues of time, team, and money. And I don't want to blow past those. Time came up when he said, our lead times are too long. Why do we have defects in engineering? And I want people on the team so that one guy taking a day off doesn't impact my time. He wants specifically time freedom, and he wants crew flexibility. Those all relate to time and time management, both for the owner and in production, right? Time management is critical. Then you've got team. Well, you've heard through his goals here how many things relate back to people and team, and he wants the best for his people here. He's not here cracking the whip. He actually has a really great team with some very nice people, right? And like all of us, he's got some people on the team that are super committed, and he's got some people there that are, clock punchers. They're just there because it's a job. Let's not get too excited, boss. I'm gonna process what I got to process. I'm gonna build what I got to build. I'm gonna frame in what I got to frame in, and then I'm going home, right? So we all have that mix. None of us have a magical set of employees. None of us. But he's got some pretty good people. And he's got some people that are just there because it's a job. But he still wants the most out of his team, right? And then money and flexibility. We'll dig into money a little bit more. So again, if you like that kind of stuff, just stay tuned to the podcast. Keep listening to the podcast. If you like that stuff, join Contractor Strategy Group, which is a free Facebook group. If you like that stuff, come to the training. Come to the training. Get on the wait list for training. It doesn't run all the time. I'm not going to run it with 2 people, right? So get on the training wait list. You have to be on the wait list to get in the call, the meeting, training. So get on the wait list first, then you can make a decision about whether you even want to show up. All right. Let me tell you about some of the action items that we had at the end of the meeting. And that's going to be our episode today. This is a construction business growth plan and problem solving edition, right? So I introduced something to him called the Team at Risk Review. Now, those of you out there who have done the Team at Risk Review with me, give me a fist pump in the air. Oh, yeah. It's just a way to be very blunt about the reality of the situation. And it's a very specific tool. It's a business growth tool. They don't teach this stuff in school. If we went and taught this to a class of MBAs at a university or a college, they wouldn't understand it because it's all theory out there. This is a reality-based tool, right? But what we do is one by one, we look at every single person in the company. That includes me, Domi, or Coach Lee, or you as the owner. Are you at risk? And really what we're looking at is who else is at risk in the company. And are they at risk because we think they're at risk? Like they're not an employee who's holding up their end of the bargain, or they're in the wrong position, they're the right person in the wrong seat, or are they just not cutting the mustard? But we have to face that reality up front. So that's one of the action items I had for myself here. Here's something that you guys, we haven't talked about on the podcast in a while, but it's the CEO level reports, right? And some of those reports are the end of job report and the end of job summary and the dashboard. So those 3 reports are really important for guiding the direction of your company, but also understanding the health of your business on a day-to-day basis. Sorry. Misspoke myself there. And so that directly relates back to he wants to have people on his team. He wants to have simple systems in place. He wants to formalize the strategic plan. He wants to shorten lead times. He wants to get ideas to fruition faster. He has defects in engineering. We need more people. All that stuff shows up in these reports. That's why people that are running businesses and make it look easy, the reason they make it look easy is because they've reduced it to the ridiculous. They've simplified things. And so these 3 reports, the end of job summary, and the dashboard, are central reports. They're the kind of reports that if you had them, you could be sitting on the beach in Hawaii or, I don't know, the Bahamas, or you can go on an Alaskan cruise, whatever your dream is, or go to Europe, right? You could be at a coffee shop at the base of the Eiffel Tower. No, let's make it Italy. Let's say you're in somewhere nice in the Amalfi Coast. Go to my people's homeland. You're sitting at a coffee shop. Your family's still up in the room in the Airbnb. You go downstairs. You have a nice espresso, un pochettino di biscotti. You're sitting there, the ocean's in front of you, you got a coffee, bring out your laptop or your phone, and you just check these 3 reports while you're on vacation. Once you check the reports, you'll know exactly who to call back at the shop, at the office or the job site, and what question to ask. And then you say, thanks, guys. You hang up the phone, you go back up, kiss your family, and get ready to have a tour for the day. I'm not kidding. That's what the reports do. That's just it, right? That's the benefit of being a business owner is you can go to the Amalfi Coast. You can go to the Sydney Opera House. You can go to an Alaska cruise. You can go to the Bahamas. You can go to Hawaii. But you got to have the systems in place to let you do that, right? And that's what Mr. Green wanted. All right. How are we doing so far, folks? If this is good, I don't know, find a way to tell me it's good. If this is bad, find a way to tell me it's bad. By the way, feel free to leave a podcast review anywhere that you get the podcast. That's always helpful to me. One of the focuses I have this year is to do a better job on getting more reviews for the podcast. So I'd appreciate that. Anyways, let's get to one of his other goals, which was under the heading of if customers knew we were having this meeting, keep true to who you are. Don't change what's working. So we need to know what's working, right? That was one of his goals. And so we wanted to put in place something called a net promoter survey. I'm not going to get into that here today, but it's a very simple way to measure the health of the relationship between you and the customer from the customer's viewpoint. We had some marketing challenges. He doesn't do much. He does marketing, but his marketing could be a little bit better, and it could be more focused on the ideal customer to bring him more of the right jobs so that his lead times are manageable because they're doing work that's normal to them, if that makes sense. So I have to go kind of back up the scale. One of the things he said here, and remember, this is his fake name. It's not even the state he lives in, Mr. Green in North Carolina. I want to take out $750,000. How many of you are shaking your head? He wants to take $750,000 out of the business. He wants to have an additional $10,000 from his passive investments and not affect operations in the business. Those are the kind of conversations you have with your business coach. Because I might be, and Coach Lee might be the only people in the world you could say that to without getting judged. And we will say, well, why aren't you taking out 760 and 15,000 and 15 grand from passive? Right? That it's your right. He's built enough value in his company. He wants to take out $750,000. And you might think, hey, I can't do that. You can do that. This is a normal conversation here at our offices. Totally normal conversation. So some data. I won't get into the data stuff. One of the things that happens on sales side is his conversion rate is too high. This is when I get a lot of pushback on folks. If he goes, or if his designers and the salespeople on his team, the designers, go on 10 meetings, they win like 8 or 9 of them. So you might think, well, he's a rock star. Of course he wins 8 or 9 of them. He's the best. But it means he's probably not pricing well enough. You should actually not be winning every job you go and bid on, because that means you're leaving money on the table. And so we have to go find the right jobs for sure, but we also have to price them with confidence so that we know we're making money on every job. I'll leave that for now because that's a completely different topic, but inside the time, team, and money issue, right? And then on the people side, we have a serious headcount problem. We need a key hire. So there's a new person. He's got 30 people, doesn't have an HR person yet. So if you've ever wondered, when do I need to hire an HR person? He's doing it himself right now. But he's now thinking about hiring an HR person to help him with recruiting, because that is one of the hardest things in his business. By the way, this is a sidebar, but it's important. If you think it's hard if you think it's difficult finding an employee for your construction or trades company, do you know what the hardest position to recruit for right now is? A recruiter. Yeah. The hardest thing to find for almost all companies, all industries, doesn't matter if it's your accounting firm, doesn't matter if it's the medical clinic you're going to go to next month. It doesn't matter if it's the grocery store you do shopping at. Everybody has a recruiting problem. So the hardest people to find in the whole population right now is recruiters. Kind of makes sense, but most of us don't think about things in those terms, right? So he wants to find an HR expert, not to manage the people, but to help him find more people. This is his own observation. Dom, we have zero marketing and sales strategy, and we need to start increasing prices and top grading some customers. So I've already said that here in the notes, but he also came to that realization. And then we're going to do something called a secret shopper, which is an interesting tool. And we have to have updated operating costs and cost of goods sold to make sure that we're pricing properly and we know which deals to walk away from. Folks, that's the marching orders. It took me just about 30 minutes to walk through that for you. I hope you found that valuable. But I will also want you to see that it doesn't matter that Mr. Green is at 30 employees and 6 million. You might be at 3 employees and 450 grand using the 150,000 per full-time employee measurement. You probably still have very similar problems, right? So if you are in those situations, give me a call or come to the training. Like, the podcast is free. Join the podcast, right? Or listen to the podcast. Contractor Strategy Group on Facebook is free, and it's not a waste of time Facebook. It's actually a business tool, Facebook. We have very serious people on there talking about business issues, business challenges. If there's any goofiness at all, it comes from me in my office, but that's to bring things some levity, some lightness. And then if you want to keep getting free stuff from me, keep getting the free stuff from me. Join the wait list for the time, team, and money training. Remember, it's a 3-day training that I've condensed down into an hour and a half, maybe just a little bit more than an hour and a half. Just get on the wait list. And if it works on your calendar, join us. When you get on there, take as many pictures of the screen as you can. Just do it. Right? There's never been a greater time to be in business because the information available to you has never been easier to get. You know, if you dial this back right now, as at the time of this recording, it's 2023. What were things like in 2013? What were things like in 2003? What were things like in 1993? What were things like in 1983? In 1983 and 93, you had to read books or get cassette tapes. That's how I started. Right? Anyways, if you want to get on the wait list, send me a text, 315-903-7853. That's the easiest way. Just get on the wait list. Oh, and then send me the keyword. Hang on. The keyword time, team, and money. And then the other thing I promised today was profit leaks. If you want to get the profit leaks report, so you know the 8 profit leaks in your business, then just send me the keyword profit leaks. And you send that to 315-903-7853. Okay. Guys, I hope you appreciated this look into Mr. Green's life and where we're taking him. I don't have the end of the story yet because we just started the story. At the time of this recording, we have a couple of coaching openings. So if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, contact me. I'd love to talk to you about it. Doesn't mean you have to go ahead, but at least we can have the discussion. If you're interested in boot camp is for people that are, let's say, under $600,000, maybe $750,000 in revenue, but you still want to find a way to get your nose, your toes, and your belt buckle all faced in the same direction in a very short, compact, from a fire hose perspective. It's a six-week program. You can join us in that. But what you learn is all of the high-level things to move you forward fast, right? So just, again, kick around, find a way to contact, send me a text, you know, the score here. That's the easiest way to do things. 315-903-7853. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to start off with a couple of dad jokes to get you in the right time, or in the right mindset, not time set, mindset. And then we're going to dissect a simple system together. And I'm going to give you a little bit more definition on something we talked about in today's episode. But first, I'm going to do a couple of dad jokes, and these ones are all cat themed. Now, not to overshare, but I actually hate cats. I do not like them at all. But I thought I'd do cat jokes because if I don't like them, why not make fun of them? You might like cats, which is great. I don't like cats. But here's a couple of cat jokes, dad jokes, because they're cute. You can tell them to little kids and, you know, be the cool uncle or the cool dad or cool mom, as it might be. So here's a couple of dad jokes for you. The theme of cats. Hey, why did the cats ask for a drum set? Well, they wanted to make some music. Do you know what a cat's favorite TV show is? Claw and Order. How did the mom cat know that she was pregnant? Well, her test was positive. Oh, here's one you can certainly tell. You can tell this weekend when you're serving breakfast to the kids. What's a cat's favorite cereal? Mice Krispies. Oh, okay. And then you could follow that up with this doozy. What color do kittens love the most? Purple. This one definitely is my favorite. I actually saw it on a t-shirt that one of my kids' friends was wearing. And I thought, this has got to be a perfect dad joke. What does a frustrated cat say? What does a frustrated cat say? You've cat to be kidding me. I know you're laughing. Stay on the road. Eyes on the road. So bad. So corny. That might have been the best one of the whole bunch. Listen, let's talk a little bit about a situation that goes on and pick it apart for you. If you find yourself running this business, maybe you've got a partner, maybe it's just yourself, maybe it's a family business, and you seem to be doing all the heavy lifting, then there's a problem and there's a solution, right? So you're busy, but you're not profitable. You're probably moving in 1,000 directions, but not everybody's moving in the same direction, right? Am I on track already? And one of the challenges there is we don't really have a focus, right? Now, sometimes the focus, by the way, is having a common enemy. Like if you really want to beat a competition, a competitor, or maybe the common enemy is the business coach. Like you might be using these podcasts to talk to your business partner or somebody else in your family businesses and say, Dominic said we should be tracking our numbers. And then your family member or business partner says, we don't need to track our numbers. And then that just opens up the conversation. So job done, Dominic Rubino. Job done, you, business owner. And somehow that conversation moves forward, right? But if you find yourself in those situations, what you need to do is simplify things and go back and look at the 8 profit leaks in your business, because they exist in every construction and contracting business. There are 8 profit leaks, and each of them is a slow oozing cut. Imagine that your arm had 1,000 cuts on it. One little cut, no big deal. But 1,000 cuts on one arm, that's a serious medical issue. Well, your business also has 1,000 little cuts, and those cuts fall under 8 specific categories. So if you find yourself overworked, if you find that you're doing all the heavy lifting, if you find that your team isn't focused and you're not getting the things done that you need to do, you don't know where to start, that means you need to put some simple systems in place. So get this free download from me, and then print it off, and then go to a coffee shop and think about it. Bring a blank piece of paper with you or somewhere to write notes, right? If you've got a business partner, set a meeting next Tuesday at 2:00. We're going to go grab a coffee. We're going to talk about this weird report that Dom put together. I don't know. Let's see if there's any good ideas in there. And then it just starts the conversation. If my job is just to start the conversation, then I've done my job for you. You can use me to start the conversation. You can blame your business coach. I am totally okay with that, and I'm used to it. My nose itches. You ever heard that old wives' tale that if somebody's talking about you, your nose itches or your ear itches? Happens to me all the time. I know somebody's talking about me somewhere. But use tools like this as a way to get clarity, as a way to get focused, as a conversation piece. Now, you might be saying, Dom, I don't think profit leaks is the place that we've got a gap in our business. Okay, where is the gap? I don't know where it is. Where is the gap? You see, starting to work on your business is the easiest time to make changes, because it doesn't matter what you fix, you're going to move forward. You just heard about Mr. Green. He's already at $6 million. And look at the simplicity of the actions he needs to take to get to the next level. It's the same for you. Just reduce it to the ridiculous. Get down to the simplest thing, but be the kind of company that identifies obstacles and fixes obstacles. Don't be the kind of company that turns its back and ignores obstacles, right? So you have lots of choices in front of you. I'm always here to help. I don't ever want to let anybody down. I don't want to let anybody down. But contact us. If you want this Profit Leaks report, it's just a free download. Just send us a text message and we'll email it back to you. That's how it works. It's not very technical. It's very old fashioned, if you'll say, but it's not very technical. You guys know the cell phone number to text it to 315-903-7853. The other offer that I made is if you want to join us for the training on time, team, and money, then just get on the wait list. When somebody says, hey, what did you accomplish today? Be like, not everything that I wanted, but I did get on the wait list for a free training. There you go. You took some action forward, right? So the tool, let's just talk about the Profit Leaks tool. The tool is meant to focus all of your attention. Think about the sun. If you stand outside in the sun all day, the most you're going to get is a little bit of a sunburn. But think back to when you were a little kid, when you were a brat, and you grabbed your parents' magnifying glass. What kind of power did you have over the poor ant colonies in your yard when you had the power of a magnifying glass? You took the same sun, that passive energy from the sun, and you focused it on that poor ant. I know you did it. I did it. We all did it, right? It's the same thing here. I just want you to get focused. Focus all the energy of those 8 profit leaks into just one question. And maybe that one question comes out with one little action. And then you now have your nose, your toes, and your belt buckle facing the same direction in the company. See, it doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be real and useful. And that's my goal all the time. Anyways, to get the tool, send me a text, 315-903-7853, and say Profit Leaks. So there's the first one. Or you can join the free training so you can hear us go through it it's a PowerPoint presentation on Zoom. Right. So you need to be somewhere you can watch the Zoom. Nobody's going to interrupt you. If you've got a partner or a spouse, invite them. It's free training. But the value's got to be there or you'll hang up. right? So we make sure it's super valuable. It goes about an hour and a half, but it's a 3-day training. It's a 3-day training. It's intense. And I use lots of images to save us time. But what you get from that is this massive shot of adrenaline that's very focused and specific on business growth. So anyways, to join the wait list for that, because that's what we're putting together right now, 315-903-7853. And just say on that one, just say training. Okay. All right, folks, let's wrap it up here for today. Thank you for checking in. I hope you enjoyed it and look forward to seeing you in the next episode.